I would say I probably travel a little bit more than the average person, and I've been through most travel scenarios you could think of. I've been 3 hours early to the airport. I've also arrived while my flight was boarding. I've been delayed 45 minutes. I've been delayed 5 hours. I've had my flight canceled halfway through the flight and taken back. I've stayed in 5-star hotels, and I've also stayed in motels and hostels. I've taken Ubers, tubes, buses, trains, bikes, boats, and through all of this, these are the 10 mistakes that I've made.
Welcome to Chicago.
Welcome to Toronto. Welcome to Los Angeles.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's always a pleasure to welcome you to Atlanta.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Stockholm on Melbourne. Welcome to Reno.
Welcome to Honolulu International Airport.
It's a pleasure to welcome you to Seattle International Airport.
It's a pleasure to welcome you to Bozeman.
Hey guys, it's Monica and welcome back to my channel. These are the 10 travel mistakes that I've made so you don't make them. Before I start, if you want to watch any of my travel videos, I will have my vlog channel linked below. That's where I put up vlogs when I travel. I'll have a playlist also linked below of just travel vlogs if you want to watch certain ones of certain cities. And without further ado, let's get into it. And I just realized I did this stupid thing that I have the tendency to do. I charge my phone overnight right by my bed, and then I forget to grab the charger from by my bed. Forgetting a phone charger. This can be the most frustrating thing because then you're at the airport without a phone charger, and if your phone dies and you're traveling, you're kind of screwed. Like, you need your phone. Therefore, you must buy an overpriced phone charger at the airport. I one time bought one for $40. I was so desperate, okay? Like, I did not want to, it was such a ripoff. So what I do to combat this is I actually have a designated phone charger that I just keep in my carry-on at all times. And I keep it there no matter what, it's not moving, so that I never forget a phone charger, no matter what.
Didn't get like any sleep last night.
So I don't sleep with an eye mask at home, but I quickly learned that you need an eye mask while staying in a hostel because those personal lights still illuminate the room way too much. And I had a few sleepless nights because I didn't have an eye mask, and my hostel roommate stayed up until like 4 a.m. reading a book. Last night the girl sleeping in this bed kept her light on until like 2:30 a.m. and then turned it back on at like 7 a.m. and I'm just like, and it was so annoying, but like she had every right to have her personal light on. So bringing an eye mask is super key, even if you don't usually sleep with one at home. Kind of like this one. This one looks good. I made the mistake, and I will never make it again, of buying a black suitcase. Don't do that. In theory, buying a black bag seems like such a good idea. It's sleek, it's cool, but actually it's the worst thing that you could do because when your baggage is coming off the carousel and there's 50 other black bags, it's kind of hard to figure out which one is yours. Someone else could take yours, you could accidentally grab someone else's that you thought was yours, and then it's kind of awkward because like they're across the room knowing that's their bag and that you're like handling it, and then you realize it's not your bag. That's like my worst fear, like I accidentally grabbing someone's bag, realizing it's not mine, and them like seeing that I did that. Don't buy a black bag. Buy literally any other color bag. Even a gray bag would be more helpful. So yesterday was cool, but we didn't really have a plan. I hate to admit it, but there have been a few times where I've traveled to a country or a state and I just didn't really research the history beforehand. We just toured the Royal Palace. I didn't know Sweden had that. And there were times where I was walking around and I didn't really know what I was seeing. Now I have stumbled across this building. I don't know what it is. And it just made it not as enjoyable of an experience because I knew it was probably something really cool, but I didn't know what it was. And so I was just like, okay, like cool, I guess. I'm gonna keep walking. Update, that was the Parliament. Probably should have known that. Whereas if you really research the history, once you get to see those things in person, it feels surreal. It's exciting. You're like, whoa, I read a book about that, or I read about this online, and now I get to see it in person, and it's just so much more of a special moment. This one took me way too long to figure out, not using a dust bag for my shoes. I seriously lived a good 21 years of my life putting my shoes in my luggage and always thinking, this is like kind of gross. Shoes are pretty gross next to my clean clothes. There we go. I hate packing shoes because they're right next to all your clean clothes and shoes are dirty. And not even getting it through my mind that people have an extra bag for that. So, using a dust bag. But really also, you don't need to buy a specific bag just for your shoes. So what I do is I take an Urban Outfitters bag because they have kind of like a thick fabric. They're really perfect for this. And I'll just stuff some shoes in it and then like tie the top. And that's what I use as a dust bag for my shoes. At this point, I was a pretty frequent traveler and I didn't know this, but planes can take off early. And I almost missed an international flight one time because I didn't know planes can take off early. They can, yeah. If everyone's checked in, which like never happens that everyone's checked in, they can decide to board early and then they can get their paperwork from air traffic control to take off early. Okay, I did not know this. So I had an international flight to Amsterdam and I was just sitting in a restaurant, having a few drinks, had my headphones in, I was editing a video, I was watching the time, I knew when I needed to get to the gate for boarding, so I thought. So, you know, I'm editing, I'm kind of getting ready to go. So this guy like frantically is running and yelling someone's name, and I'm like, gosh, like who is that dumb? That what do they need from this Miss Church? And then I realized, wait, I am Miss Church.
Oh my god, I'm so last one on the plane. Some guy came to the restaurant like calling my name, being like, Monica, hurry up.
And I took my headphones off, I was like, what? And they're like, they boarded early, they're leaving, like you have 2 minutes, you need to go. And I had to like pay and get my stuff and grab everything. I had to board the plane and everyone was giving me dirty looks, like I was holding up the whole plane. But what the heck, I didn't know they could board early. So you really should get to your gate early. Always get to your gate early because you never know, they could board early. I think room service is totally acceptable and okay if you're traveling on business because it makes your life easier. You're not really there to see a city, you're there to do work. Get all the room service you want in that case. But if you're traveling to a different country and you get room service, that is such a shame because a huge part of traveling is the culinary experience you have with the city and the exploration to find different restaurants and the whole experience of a restaurant and seeing the menu and the atmosphere. Also, it's way more expensive. Like a pot of coffee ends up being like 20 bucks. You've probably heard horror stories of someone that didn't check in right away and they gave their seat away. Now that can definitely happen, but that's really not something that I'm worried about or like preaching to you about today. You should check in right away because yes, they could give your seat away, but also if you haven't had your seat assigned when you booked your flight, the quicker you check in, the quicker you get to choose where you're sitting. And if you check in last, guess where you're sitting?
MC's stuck with the middle seat.
Back of the plane, next to the families, next to the bathrooms. How would I know? Because I was lazy and did this like 3 times before I finally vowed, no more, I will always check in right away. If you're booking a basic economy seat, a lot of the times they don't let you pick your seat right then. And I think they do that because they want you to want to pick your seat, but to want to pick your seat, you have to pay to upgrade to a different kind of not so basic priced seat. If you have basic economy and they're not letting you pick your seat yet, let's say there's 30 other people that bought basic economy seats and they don't have their seat signed. Well, 24 hours before the flight, when you can check in, that means there's 30 seats to choose from. Then it's really just first come, first serve. First person to check in gets first pick of all 30. Next person, next person, next person. So if you wait till you get to the airport to check in and everyone else checked in, guess where you're sitting? This one again applies to if you're staying in a hostel, but forgetting to bring a lock. So typically the hostel sells locks, so forgetting to bring a lock, it's not that huge of a deal.
I just bought a lock to lock up my stuff.
But I have heard that a lot of the locks that they sell are very cheap, generic type locks that are pretty easy to pick to break into your stuff. I've never had a situation where that happened, but I would be wary of it, and on the safe side, you should just buy your own lock that's a little more heavy duty, just from the store, that's not the same as the generic kind that they're selling at the hostel. So this last one's like a little bit different because this is just a mistake I decided within myself that people also might feel like they've made. If they traveled somewhere, they came back and they just didn't really feel that fulfilled by their trip, and it's because maybe they didn't really come up with a game plan of some things that they really wanted to see within like a good variation. So the way I break it up is having some things that I want to go do, and I put these things in different boxes. One being history. There's history everywhere you go. I try to find a few historic places. 2 would be modern, so finding modern, new, hip things. Maybe that's more of a modern museum. 3 would be culinary, trying the food where you are. And 4 would be something adventurous, something that really gets you out of your comfort zone. That's like the biggest travel mistake to me, because I used to go on trips and come back sometimes unfulfilled, and I really found that if I covered all these bases, I could come back from a trip and be really happy with what I saw, what I ate, what I experienced, and the people that I met. Those are all my travel tips from mistakes that I've made. If you would like to watch any of my travels, I'll have my vlog channel Millennial Life Crisis linked below. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Monica Church, and subscribe to this channel for more videos on other travel things. So thank you guys for watching, and safe travels. Okay, bye.
Where is it you wanna go? Where is it you wanna